There I am.
There you are. Good morning, Bill.
Morning.
How are you this morning?
Okay. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Sun's out,
Yes.
and we've
Yeah.
had enough rain for a while.
Yes. And we didn't endure what they did in New York and Vermont. So,
Oh no, I couldn't believe some of what's going on in Vermont.
yeah, I know. I looked at some photos this morning and we've been in some of those towns. So,
Yeah,
not nice.
yikes indeed. Uh, I'm glad to be up on top of a hill at that point.
Yeah.
So, anything exciting going on over there?
Um, no, not unless you think of lots of weeds as being
Aha. Well, at least you have
well, yeah.
nutritious soil.
Yeah. Uh, well, I essentially did nothing for a year and a half, with the knee
Mm.
uh, giving out on me and then the recovery from the operation. So it put a stake in as far as, okay, we own this property, but I'm showing them who's boss.
Yeah, that kind of puts a spike in the ability to do that kind of work.
Yeah, yeah.
You enjoy gardening?
Yes, very much.
Ah,
Always have. From the time I was 6 or 7,
ah,
I've worked outside and gardening and landscaping and knocking down ratty looking stuff and making it nice. So
mm-hmm. Cool.
yep.
Well, I can't say that I've always been that, although um, when of course I grew up during the war when we were doing victory gardens.
Yeah, yeah.
My my father had a garden of about a quarter of an acre. Uh,
Well, yeah,
and I had a whole separate part that was just mine.
yeah.
And, so I did that kind of gardening, or
Yeah, I think ours probably, it was certainly a half acre. But we had rows of corn and potatoes and beans and peas and
yeah.
broccoli and you name it, eggplant. So
Well, my we I don't know, about 3 years in, my my father rented land from a farmer, and then we had the half acre size
yeah,
at that point. But and I remember my mother doing lots of canning.
yeah, we did canning and freezing also.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, we ate fruits and vegetables for most of the year off our own land. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. That was wonderful.
yes,
And um, when we moved in here, I did a small garden for quite a while. Um, but then gradually my ability to keep up with it faded away.
yeah, yeah.
So, morning,
Morning, Jeff.
Good morning.
morning, Jeff.
Good morning. I got a new camera. I don't know
Ye-
if you can tell.
Ah,
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
It's
The
much
wider
clearer.
it's a better picture. Well, it's
Better
actually a
picture.
picture. Remember, my other picture kept fading out, and
Yep.
so we should be good now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Yeah.
Are you in a different room?
No,
No,
it's just a wider view, David.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's much wider view. It's the same exact location. Everything's the same except the camera's different. And the other camera I had was probably at least 7 or 8 years old. It was just a little cheap webcam. And this is also a cheap webcam, but it's a new one. So it gives a wide angle. It probably
Yeah,
the sound is probably better.
yep,
So, it's the same place, just my back room. I'm at my desk where I usually work, and
yeah, great.
Bambi's back here somewhere. I'm not sure where she is, but she's back here.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah,
We're
it
glad to
seems,
see more of you.
it seems much better as well. Yeah, I should have done this a long time ago, really.
Well, you've done it now, so that's what counts.
That's right.
So, as usual, I have to get my ting shaw. I'll be right with you. You'd think after all these years I would be prepared. So, how's your bending and stretching?
About the same.
About the same?
Yeah.
Okay. No improvement since last week, huh?
I don't know, not noticeable. I'll put it that way. I need to hear you talk about it more, I think.
Okay. What, what, it sounds like you have more of a question there.
No, it's just sometimes it's going counter to what I had been doing, so it's less intuitive, and I need more practice of it so that it becomes more second nature. It's just the bottom line, really. Just
Yeah.
like when we learn anything in Tai Chi, it's that same learning curve.
Yep. Yep.
I'm still at the lower point. I'm going up slowly, but I haven't hit any big trajectory yet.
That's all right. You don't hit too many of those big ones.
No. So slow but steady, I think, is what's happening with me.
Ditto.
Anything for you, Bill?
No, ditto.
Ditto.
No, really, it's uh yeah, I would say it's getting a bit better, but it's not consistent enough yet. So
Okay.
sometimes it seems to be working nicely and smoothly, and other times not so. Yeah. So,
Okay.
Right. Remember, we've only done, with you breaking it down for us, we've only done a few postures at this point. We still got the majority of our form to really look at more closely too. I think
Yep.
that's what I'm relating to also, is that I don't, the rest of it is still, in terms of that, it's still kind of very foggy for me.
Yeah. Um, you understand that part of bending is drawing the energy in, and extending is sending the energy out.
Yeah.
So when you look at what's happening in a posture, um, most of it is pretty intuitive. There are a few places where it's not quite so intuitive, I would admit.
All
Um,
right.
but basically, if you really think about it in those terms, um, it's pretty clear. Pretty clear. but maybe clearer to me than it is to you. Um,
Yeah, and it's also incorporating it into the movement so that the movement is properly timed, whereas, it hadn't been in a lot of places before we looked at it more
yeah.
closely.
And one of the other things too, and well, certainly we're at a stage where you want the movement to be large enough that you really see what you're doing, or I can see what you're doing. Um, um, Ultimately, it may get much smaller.
Yeah,
Um, so uh, you don't have to think about this in the same way that we do with the Yang style, in which we think of getting really expanding everything. Whereas
right,
here we're thinking about eventually condensing everything.
right. Yeah,
So sounds like what we should do. My thought is we'll go through our 8 gates, and again, this is very easy, or relatively easy. I suppose I shouldn't say it's easy. Very simple and clear where the bendings and extendings are here. Um, and then we'll flow through what we did up through embrace together, and then I think I'd like each of you to flow individually, and then two of us will evaluate what you've done. So, so I'm incorporating each of you as an assistant teacher today.
okay.
So, let's begin. Stepping out, flowing right into Gem Heaven. Any, any questions in there?
Nope.
Nope.
So I will say bend and stretch. Let's start that again. And begin Tai Chi. Bend, stretch, 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 bend, stretch. So any questions there first?
Uh, just to clarify, because I've forgotten this. This was one of those. This was one of those places that was not intuitive that I seem to have forgotten. But when we go into here, this is bend the whole way in until we start going here.
But between the two grasping sparrows' tails.
Yeah, after we've gone from
Single whip.
thank you from Singer Whip down around it. This is bend the whole way. See, I've been doing stretch as I go forward and out.
No, that's where the stretch would begin if you did the chin push at that point.
Right. Okay. All right. That was one of those places so far that I need to reprogram my mind into, and just doing it now reminded me that I was doing it wrong.
Yeah, well, and that's one of those places that isn't exactly intuitive, I understand.
Yeah. So that was my only question in that section.
Okay. So who would like to go first?
I'm up. I don't
You're
mind
on
going.
your feet, you'll go first. Okay. So Bill, I would really like you to look at this and just see what you see. Um, anything that you think you could say to help him.
Okay.
Um, wow, I love your camera. Woo!
Oh,
I can see you.
I agree. I wish I'd known long ago that I could have done
Yeah.
this. It's only
And
like,
you have a partner too.
yeah, he seems well behaved. It was only, this camera was like $30 or something. It was
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
a definite improvement. Okay. So any thoughts here, Bill?
Um, no. Obviously everybody who does these things does them slightly differently. I don't know whether
Oh
there's
yeah.
a right or a wrong, you know. So
No, there you're absolutely correct. No, there is not an absolute right or wrong. There are going to
yeah.
be subtle differences that are individual to the individual.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I do feel like I was still a little bit sketchy on that one when going around to Pong G, that section.
Yeah, that's
A
Yep.
little,
if we could do that in super slow mo.
Sure. I can. The other thing just that struck me at the beginning, Jeff,
yeah,
was I felt like when you were making your first step out, that the energy just disappeared from your arms and upper body.
Huh.
Now, part of that is being on Zoom, maybe, I don't know, but that was my sense, that you got so involved with the step that the rest disappeared. Yeah. So, Bill, I will do that very slowly.
Okay.
And I'll do it towards you. And I'm gonna move here where you won't see my feet so much. Matter of fact, you won't see them at all. But you can perhaps see my arms better. So bending, extending, bend, extend, bend, extend.
Okay.
So the part of the problem there is that when you get to here, you need to have this next movement be a coming in and a going out. And it happens really fast, depending on how quickly you're moving.
Yep.
But it is. And then you have time, and one of the other things is that remembering that on the last part has both in and out. So actually the bend here continues for a part of that, and then it completes with the opening into extend. I don't know, did that help?
Yes. Yes.
Any further questions about that?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. Um, so, Bill,
Okay.
we'll let Jeff be a teacher now. Okay. As far as we went. Jeff?
Um, it felt like on this part, there wasn't somehow you missed the bend and extend a little bit. Or maybe the bend. I'm not real sure. Um, going into single whip. I felt I think you kind of didn't do the bending part of that. Maybe is what it was. Um, but and maybe go a little bit slower too, because it was for me anyways. For my untrained eye, David, I'm sure is better at this, but for my untrained eye, I couldn't really catch all of the bending and extending because you were going a little bit fast. I'm
Okay.
sure it's fine where you're doing it, but I wasn't able to catch it all. So that's really my suggestion.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think, oh, go ahead, Bill.
No, no, I was saying okay. I know David's always telling me to slow up.
Yeah, I was about to do it again too.
Darn.
Um, yeah, I think that it would help you, uh, Bill, if you did slow down a bit, because it will give you time, um, to make those movements. Because what it felt like was that, um, first in going into pung, I felt like your hands sort of came up like that,
Okay.
and we we really want to think about the the elbows and the scapula driving the fingertips up. So the movement is here, not here.
Okay.
See the difference in that?
Yes. Yes.
Um, and if you go slowly, you can retain some a rotation of the body to help you with this bend and extend. That rotation from having turned right to step out has to continue all the way through to G. So you have to slow down the rotation. That's one of the difficult pieces in this particular movement. And then into here. And I think Jeff's comment about single whip was good. Um, if you can allow that movement, I mean, you're quite right. Notice, let me go back. um, Notice that after you've done the follow and focus to the right, and then you step, that the first bend and extend is pretty much on the same level. And it's when you bend and reset that it actually sinks slightly so that you can rise slightly, and that completed movement is a little off, a little more onto the right than the left. I felt like you were very much in the center and looking straight ahead.
Hmm.
Actually, your left foot is slightly angled, and the left hand, the left blade hand is aimed out in the same direction as that foot, and you're looking over those fingertips. So you're really focused in that direction. Um, Certainly, embrace was much better. Pull down was better. Um, I think the thing about, let's see, I do it this way. Um, if you think about the hands have rotated the little finger edge in as you step back and out as you pull down. So the hands actually rotate. The elbows are going outward, pulling the scapula out. And then the little fingers come in. And then the little fingers go out. So, I think just a little clarification in there.
Yep, well, I certainly appreciate it on the single whip because no, I have been facing straight ahead, and I would assume my left foot was also more straight than slightly out to the side.
Yeah, it's the reset is to reset the foot. When I say reset, I'm talking about resetting that left foot onto an angle so
Yeah.
that you do right, go on a slight angle there.
Okay.
Good.
David, when you just said a few minutes ago about on the first part about the fingertips, I realized that that's what I was missing when I was doing it. Remember I said it didn't feel quite right when I was doing that part. I didn't, my fingertips were
Yeah,
not involved.
it's an upward and
Yeah,
outward movement.
yeah, that's what I was missing. And that when you said that, that reminded me of that. So that was good. Thank you.
Yep. Good. Other questions in there? Let's just flow through that again.
Yep.
You know, I think I'm going to do this sideways to the camera, just
Good.
give you another view. Bending, stretch, bend, stretch, bend, stretch, bend, stretch, bend, stretch, bend, stretch, bend, stretch, bend and reset, stretch, bend, and stretch, bend, stretch. Oh, do you feel like you know where you want to go with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, good. What you doing? Pin yourself. So, when we have completed embrace, the next part of that is bend. And it's just a shift with the arms folding in as you go back onto that left foot. And the bend continues as you rotate that right knee in and then set it forward. And then you begin the stretch. Okay? So you've done embrace, you bend, and the first movement is rotating left and shifting part way to your dynamic limit in shoulder. And then you're bending as you begin to rotate and very subtly continuing to shift forward all the way through the upper hand deflecting, the left one striking, and both pushing down. So there are three parts to that movement. So once we've completed shoulder, you have to make sure you don't go boom, boom, and then where are you going to go with on? Nowhere. So this movement becomes 1, 2, 3. And you're rotating all the way through that. And then you just have follow and focus, which is the same as the U and on that we did before. So we're in embrace. You shift into the left foot, rotate in, turn and step to the corner, rotate and shift to shoulder, rotate and shift white goose. 1, 2, 3, shift forward, follow, focus.
David, on the white goose part, could you say the bending and
Yeah, I'm
extending?
going to do that now.
Okay.
So when you shift, you're bending, and the arms are coming in, but they're not rotating. Then they can begin to rotate a little as you continue to bend, and then stretch into shoulder, bend, going forward, stretch. 1, 2, 3. Bend, stretch. Questions?
And that was clear. That helped.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So just go back to that again. So bend, coming in, step, stretch, bend, stretch, 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 bend, stretch, bend, step around, turning, and then the stretch is going up and continuing to rotate into down and under. So from on here, you're going to begin to bend, and this is all bending in, and then extending out. And that rotation needs to go all the way through that movement. Okay? Questions in there?
Oh,
No, yeah,
Okay.
probably should have, but I don't.
No, you don't have to have. So go back to single whip. We'll add this on. So bending, step, stretch. Bend, rotating, stretch. Bend, shift into the left. Continue bending. Step to the corner empty. Stretch, rotate and shift to shoulder. Bend, rotating to the corner. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Bend, stretch. Bend. Arms turning, stretch, coming up and out. So try that from single whip. Bill, it feels like thinking about bending and stretching threw you off.
Uh, where in particular? But all the way through?
Kind of all the way through. The last time we did this, you did better in terms of the movement. Um,
Okay.
do it again. Try it again.
Sure.
Okay, so there's the first place. After you've done embrace, that next movement is only a shift of the weight. There is no rotation until you're 100% on the left foot.
Okay.
Then you rotate in and turn and step. But turn the body. You're not shifting the shoulder forward. You're rotating the body to place the foot. Yep, you're turning to the right. So let me show you what I'm saying.
Okay.
'Cause,
I've jumped the tracks.
Apparently, I'm not communicating verbally very well here. So, when you've done embrace, the next movement is just sit on that left foot. And then you're going to rotate left, drawing that knee in, rotate right, and set that right foot empty to the corner, but turning all the way to the right. So that now you can rotate left and shift forward into shoulder.
Yep.
So when you go from embrace, you're coming in, protecting your groin and knee, and then stepping into that person's space. So you can go forward into shoulder
Okay.
or bump, cow. Yeah. Did that clarify that?
Yes. Okay. We have some work to do in there.
Yeah. Well, I understand you may have to. No. Shoulder is a rotation to the left, not to the right.
Yeah, I'm trying to incorporate the turn to the right when I step out,
Yeah.
which I hadn't been doing.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So that's the turn to the right is how you place the foot.
Yeah. So
Shift, turn in. Now just stay on the left and turn and place an empty step with the right. Now rotate and left and go forward into shoulder. Good. There you go.
yeah, I had for some reason or other eliminated that turn to the right in there,
Yep.
and obviously made some bad choices on how to
Well, that's part of
go.
what this is about is clarifying
Yeah.
all things. So don't feel bad. You're doing fine. um, so try it again from single whip.
Okay.
Okay. Um, Actually, that was much better. Good. Um, Going into White Goose. Um, Again, that's another place reminds me of going into G. You really have to practice that. You really need to slow it way down so you can figure out what am I doing here in those movements so that I can get all three of those movements in there, and they come, they're done. it's
Yeah. Yeah.
um, they're overlapping. the arms are continuing to move. They don't, you don't have 1, 2, 3. So that's practice, I mean, finding that, but this is a place where really slowing that way down and giving yourself the time to find how to make that movement can be helpful. At
Okay.
least I found that helpful. That's a difficult spot.
David, in that spot where we're doing 1, 2, 3, when we do on the last part of it, do the hands come down to the same level? Because the right hand is
Oh,
higher.
oh, do they? Oh,
The right hand is higher, right?
no, they don't.
Oh, okay. I felt like I should.
That's because that's what you did before.
Exactly. Yeah.
It isn't what you're going to do here, no.
All right. Well, I'm glad I asked because I had been trying to bring them down to the same level.
Yeah. Um, no, just stay close here. Um, so as you go forward, boom, boom, boom. No, it they there is an angling downward slightly,
Right.
but the right doesn't drop to the level of the left. No.
And I also just actually noticed that I've been trying to do too much of a arm and hand movement too. I saw you were just like a little, that's it, just a little.
The the thing about on and a lot of these is that it's not this, it's not a hand and arm movement. It's a scapula movement.
Right, right.
Boom, boom.
Yeah. That's what I needed to change. Yes.
Yep. And that's
I was doing the same thing, trying to get them down even.
Yeah, exactly.
so, yeah, don't, it's one of the things that becomes even more apparent in this form than it does in the Yang style is that, yes, we define these four primary energies in specific ways, but what we discover is that they can be done in almost any direction.
Hmm.
So, and there is not only one position. So we think of Pung as rising and outwardly going, but it can also be a downward moving, expanding energy too.
Hmm.
But it's different than on. And maybe we shouldn't get too far into that at the moment, um, but yeah, so it's important not to feel like there's only one way that on can be done. On
Yeah.
can be here, it can be here. Um, there are lots of
Hmm.
ways it can be done.
Okay.
Um, so why don't you do that, Jeff, since I put Bill on the spot here.
Uh, Single whip, is that where we started?
I beg your pardon?
Starting with single whip, you mean? Is that what
Yeah.
we did?
Yes. No. So you're doing what Bill did. The first movement into shoulder is a shift back, not a rotation and shift.
From here.
Yeah. So you're already back, more weighted on the left than the right.
Yes.
So now you're going to shift the weight to 100% on the left and then rotate. Good. Okay. It feels like your right hand's a little high.
It's like, it's up here. Is that too high?
No, that's fine. If it's the fingertips about forehead height.
Yeah, yeah, that's about right. It's probably the, I am noticing, that with this camera, it's looking down a little bit, so it skews the angles on things just a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Um, what was the other thing? It was one other thing I was going to mention.
On?
Well, yeah, in White Goose, uh, you did just fine with the first two parts, and then when you got to on, it went to the hands.
Yeah. That was my question a couple of minutes ago, and I got to work on that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. No, that's fine.
okay.
Um, oh gosh, I lost whatever the other one was. No, apparently not that important.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
My memory's pretty good, but it disappears now and then.
So this is mine.
Um, why don't you try it once more?
Sure.
So that was it. Hold it. So that's another place where the first part of that movement is a shift, not a shift and rotate.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and when you shift, the left hand, yeah, the left hand goes up and the right hand goes down slightly. Not a lot, but a little bit. Yep, and then rotate. Yes, good. So that was pretty good, Jeff. One thing I say is when you go from follow and focus to down and under, if you don't rotate that left leg quite so far back, you won't have to move it quite so far forward into the posture.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Let's do this.
That's better. Yeah. I think it'll make it easier too.
Okay. Got it.
So let's flow from the beginning up to this point.
Okay.
Good.
Yin Taiji. So bending, stretching, bending, stretching, bending, stretch, bend, stretch, bend, stretch, bend, stretch, bend, stretch, bend and reset, stretch, bend, stretch, bend, stretch, bend, stretch, bend, stretch, 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 bend, 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 stretch, stretch, bend, stretch, bend, stretch. So I think single whip is actually pretty clear. Um, Basically, once we've arrived at down and under, we're bending to that more or less center point, stretching as we roll the ball out, bending as we roll it into center, and stretch, roll it out to the other side, and bend back in. Questions?
No?
No.
I'm presuming that, well, on wave hands is not easy, that you understand as far as bend and stretch is concerned what you want to do there.
Yeah, I was just thinking that feels pretty good right now, but next week when we go over it in slow motion, I'm sure something will happen.
Well, that's part of the process, Bill.
Yeah.
A little progress each day.
Yeah.
So, last minute questions?
This was good.
Good, good. You're both coming along. That's great. We're working our way through.
Yeah. Do we have any upcoming classes that we're not going to have that I should be aware of?
There is one in a few weeks. I can't remember when it is. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'll let- I'll when uh, when I send the notes today, I'll tell you when that is.
Great,
There's one
thanks.
where I have a doctor appointment that I don't have any choice about when
Okay,
it is. I I have to take it when I get it.
yeah, not a problem. It helps with my planning if I know in advance, because sometimes I will schedule things on those days as well if I know that we're not having class.
Sure. No, I do have, there is one.
Okay, great.
And I'll just tell you that next week I'll have a report from the Master Joe Birthday Festival, which I'm going to this weekend.
Huh.
Oh, where is it?
It's well, it's um, near the place in New Jersey where it's been previously, but Bruce um, can't say his last name now, but Bruce, who organized that birthday festival after Master Joe died, um, is having some difficulties. He has a liver transplant,
Oh my God.
and it's acting up. And he also, I understand, has started into Alzheimer's.
Oh,
Oh,
gosh.
No, he's not holding it. He's not running it anymore.
Right.
A couple of other people, Lynn Teal and CJ Rhodes, are running it, and it's been moved to a park that's not far from there. It's in northern New Jersey.
Whatever happened or whatever has become of Star Farm since he passed on?
Of Tai Chi Farm?
Yeah, we're I thought it was called Star Farm. Maybe it's Tai Chi Farm or wherever he
Master,
had.
where
Master,
Master Joe was?
yeah, yeah,
That was the Tai Chi Farm. Uh,
yeah.
After he died, his family sold it,
Oh, really?
and it was turned into a development. I
Oh,
I
gosh.
made the mistake. The first year I went to I went to the first Master Joe festival, birthday festival,
Right,
and after it, a couple of us drove over to the Tai Chi farm and
right.
discovered what they had done, and it's
Sacrilege.
nothing's there. I mean, it's just except big, huge houses and
Right.
everything else has been torn down.
Wow.
Nothing remains from the Tai Chi farm.
That's sad.
Yeah,
Jeez.
it was very sad, and I was sorry I had gone.
Yeah, I can understand that. I was only there once, and when Master Joe was still alive,
Yep,
fortunately, and it was such a good memory. Just everything about that day was incredible.
I know. I know. I fortunately have about 3 years of memories. Um,
Yeah.
I wish I'd gone sooner, but I'm
Right.
grateful for those 3 years.
Yeah.
It
Did
made a
you
huge
did
impression.
you studying when you studied with him? Did you study there?
Yes.
Oh, wow. What a nice place.
Um, I took, well, I learned the Yang form from him there in a week-long workshop, and then went back after that about once a month for a 2 or 3 hour class
Oh,
um, that we held of people
right.
who were in that uh, Yang class.
Wow.
And then Jay was the one that taught me this style, the Wu style.
Right. Right. Huh. So had Jay already been a student of Master Joe's for quite a while before you started with him?
Oh yeah, Jay started with him really shortly after he came to this country.
Oh,
I,
I didn't know he was from another country, actually. Where is he from? Oh, are you talking Jay or Mr. Joe? Master
Master
Joe.
Joe.
Oh, okay. All right.
Master Joe. Yeah, he came, of course, from China.
Right. I thought you were saying Jay was from another country.
No, 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 no. He was from this country.
Right.
even
Right.
though sometimes he seemed like he was from another country.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, Jay studied with Master Joe for about 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, he
How
was,
fortunate was he?
Master Joe considered him his primary disciple.
Wow. Is Jay's school still going strong?
Oh yeah,
Great.
although Lao Ma died
No, I didn't know that.
about a year ago.
Oh gosh, that's too bad.
Yeah, yeah, that's a
I
real
only met him once. He was up for workshop once many years ago. I remember meeting him and
yeah,
doing a workshop with him, and it was really good.
yeah. He was a good teacher.
Yeah.
It was fun. uh, yeah. Well, onward and upward.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about. Take some pictures if you can of the,
I will.
you know.
Yeah, I'm going with George Hoffman and a couple of other people.
Okay.
So
All
it'll be
right.
it'll be a fun weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So
Okay, great.
good. We'll see you next week.
All right. Take care, guys. Take care, Bill.
Yep, you too.
Bye
Thank you,
bye.
David.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Yep. Bye.